Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 6th episode of the Digital Transformation Podcast. Today is going to be a fantastic and special episode. With me, as usual, we have here Michele and Cyril.
Hello.
And, hello, guys. And as I mentioned before, it's going to be a special episode because one of our co-hosts, Michele, is also going to be guest today. How do you feel about that, Michele?
I don't know how you convinced me to take a part to this episode, but I'm actually very happy that we can talk a little more about lasting dynamics. We received a lot of questions and the comments, and the audience reacted, most of the time understanding what is the opinion of lasting dynamics of these. What are you guys doing in this space, etc., etc. So probably this is the way, to also to answer all these questions.
I know you're trying to diverge everything onto the lasting dynamic questions, and we're going to have plenty, but we're going to have a lot of questions about Michele Cimmino as well. We are both of us, and also our audience is very curious. So be ready for that.
Okay.
And actually, I would like to start asking you, how did you get not to where we are now, but how did you actually get to starting everything? So it's like, who was Michele Cimmino as a kid? Like, have you always wanted to be a CEO, first a developer, or how did you get there? What was your aspiration as a kid?
Not really. Actually, the role of CEO in this company is just because I have to do it, for now. And but I do not. How can I say? I do not exclude the possibility in the future that CEO of Lasting Dynamics could be someone else. Even, so the goal since I was a kid, the passion, let's say, the dream was to become a software developer. I was 10 years old, and my dad was coding these small video games with a quick basic, and I was truly allured and inspired by him, and I wanted to code so much that one day he found me in front of the computer, the PC. It was one of the very old machines, and I was writing in natural language what I wanted to see into the game happening, and he told me this is a good start because at least it is game design, but it doesn't work like this. And I was 9 years old, 8 years old, probably. I was very, very young. Then what happened is that this passion bounced out in the World Wide Web once internet became a thing. And everyone was starting to use MSN and the chat, the various online chat and stuffs, and while everyone was still interested into using these tools, I was much more interested in understanding how they could work, how they were working. So I was asking myself, how does this work? I want to know. I want to do it as well. I want to build something. And then started when I was 15 coding with ASP and HTML. Pretty much that was the first technologies that I touched, and that helped me building a couple of early stage projects for myself. Then I built a video game when I was 18, and then after that in the university I started to develop software, and it came to my mind the idea to start doing this for third parties, so to provide this as a service, and that's how I became a freelance. Pretty much it starts not only from the passion, but also from actually a necessity, I would say. When I was at university, it was a bit after the bad moment that Italy, as pretty much all Europe, was living after the 2008 and everyone in at the university was used to go on to work somewhere on weekend, and they were in a restaurant or in a doing any kind of a spare job. And I actually always respected the idea that people could work and study at the same time. I loved the idea that this could be a journey. I'm not that into religion. I do have a faith, but that's very similar to the ora et labora mindset that for me is not even just a religious mindset, coming from a Catholic education, but it's actually a way to think about life. If you move, if you do something, then something will happen. And for me, studying and working in this case was the right combination, to make this happen. And I said, okay, why should I, work in a restaurant? Since I can code, I will do the freelancer and I will code, whatever for customers. And then that gave me the energy to go online and start building my profile and understand how to catch projects. And this is how Lasting Dynamics started, actually. Then I started to involve other people, because people started to ask me, what are you doing? And by answering it, I was giving them an alternative to what they were doing. And few of them started to follow me, and then we aggregated the early stage, people in Lasting Dynamics, and then the longer journey started. So that was pretty much me between 6-8 years old and 22, I would say. Yeah.
So that's
Good. So the initial sparkle started during your studies. That's interesting. And so you graduate, and why you didn't join a large corporation? Why you continued on your journey at that point?
I have always been thinking that the normal way, the classic way, had some kind of inefficiencies and problems. I was studying something that I could understand important for my, future knowledge. And at the same time, as a younger guy, I was also underestimating something. This is why when I talk with the guys in the academy or, the interns in Lasting Dynamics, I always tell them, now probably you think this is not that important, but trust who has a little more of experience. It was the same for me. Do this well now. It's going to be a game changer for your future. And yeah, so to answer your question, I think I genuinely didn't want to follow the normal career and normal path, because I envisioned something different that was belonging more to my way of being and my way of seeing, the IT world and what I wanted to achieve. So that's why I never actually took in account that, and never worked for a large enterprise as a consultant. Yes, not as an employee.
Yeah. So that what I find interesting is you decide to jump and to cross from freelancer to entrepreneur, and you don't have any kind of enterprise or business experience outside the commercial relationship from your previous freelance work.
Yes, actually, yes. It is something that happened spontaneously, and there was no connection really, other than the necessity to evolve from one status to another. According to my experience, it was just the next step. It was not another step or another way of doing it. It was just the next level for me.
I think we can say basically you shift from a freelancer to an entrepreneur when you have your first hire. Who was your first hire?
Yeah, well, the very first hire was, and it was not really an hire. It was much more of a consortium of individuals using their own individual firms. And it was just a strategic approach to not commit immediately into opening a company. And it was the aggregation of friends and colleagues at the university. So some of the first projects started like that. Then the first person that I hired from remote was a very clever and passionate guy that was working majorly in the DevOps and the backend sphere. And the necessity came from the fact that I wanted to develop more the front end, even if I was working full stack. So that, and by delegating the API and designing together the database, I could focus more on the user interface and the user interaction. that is the domain I wanted to exploit the most. And it came also from a personal upgrade in terms of skills, because on the back end side, the technologies once arrived to the MVC framework and pattern, pretty much kept in stock, because other than new ORMs or eventually NoSQL models, the way you do a REST API pretty much remained the same, and the way you design a database and make it portable, scalable is pretty much the same. Probably DevOps moved a lot in the past 5 years. While instead on the front end, I remained until that point, I was 22, 23 into more CSS, HTML, JavaScript, and jQuery. And instead, the single page application became already a thing, started to become a thing, and I wanted to focus more on that. So that's how I started Angular, React, and Vue.js. And yeah, so that's the reason why I started to hire. And the second reason is, at a certain point, you understand that if you want to go far, you have to go together. You cannot go alone. And the way to do it is by having a company and aggregating good people and sharing the same goals.
I want to go back 1 second to what you mentioned before about the fact that you didn't feel the necessity.
It's gonna be an hard episode.
No, this is more of a curiosity, and it's not going to be a hard question, actually. But I think it's going to be very interesting, because you mentioned that you did not feel the necessity from going from a freelancer to opening your own company, start working as a team, let's say that. And when you mentioned that, you actually said, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you did not want to go in that direction. You did actually not want.
No, it's the other way around. For me, was actually a necessary step to move forward, because
I'm not into
entrepreneurship.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it was a natural, evolution of the business, totally natural, given by the fact that that we needed to grow and have, be more than just one person in order to work on certain sides of projects and achieve a certain level of quality and also eventually delivering in a certain time frame. So respecting some timelines. So I would say it was totally natural. I didn't even think that I was becoming an entrepreneur, to be honest.
But you felt that you didn't need to actually work yourself for a corporation, and you said you actually didn't see eye to eye, to the industry at that moment. And so my question would be like, what did you think were the gaps in the market at that time? So like, what were the problems that you felt like, I'm not going to go work for the corporation. I actually know what actually they're doing wrong, and I'm going to do it better.
Yeah. Well, I discovered it even just by, offering the lasting dynamics services to the market. And I'm not going to lie, there are a lot of people that try to hide this. They don't say it that openly. I don't mind to make such a statement. It was the same in 2015. It is the same today, 8 years after. The IT industry is sick. So simple. The IT industry is sick. There are a lot of problems in the IT industry that were still not addressed. I don't know, when I buy something like a product or a service, professional, let's focus just on the professional services. I might go to a lawyer or to a fiscal advisor, an accountant, or any other kind of professional, because I want to have a quality service, of course, because I do not understand anything of what what is the application domain where they are operating. Eventually, I can understand something, but I'm not an expert like them. So I go to them because I want to receive a certain quality. And I will be extremely disappointed, as many times happened, unfortunately, in the past, by discovering that some labor consultants are not processing well the payrolls, or are not taking in account some new updates, that are coming from the legislation, the local legislation, etc. So the idea that in the IT industry, it is a so common practice to work with a provider that gives you such a cheap solution disgusts me, honestly. That was it never changed. This in my life. The idea that you could work with someone, you have to explain them 10 times what you want, that you have to push them on a daily basis and micromanage them, otherwise probably it will not happen. The idea that they told you a budget, that you could invest a budget, and then eventually after 3-6 months they tell you, no, we need more money. Or the idea that you discover that a part of your code is exposed to security concerns, or it's not compliant with some of your more important policies, or the data protection policies in your country. That is extremely disappointed, and it is such common. It happens so frequently in the IT industry. So I wanted to provide an alternative, a true alternative that could give a quality solution to the market, starting from a very simple idea, what is written in every software engineering book. Okay, from agile methodologies on, this is not rocket science. It is quite straightforward, and it is well described, which are the experiences of big founders, entrepreneurs themselves, engineers that came together with a plan to revolutionize this industry. So the idea that there are people that are not following it, that are still not well educated in software engineering, was disappointing me, and unfortunately still does.
Yeah. And it has been like what, 20 years now since the Agile Manifesto. But you have people trying to basically create their own business by reinventing Agile and making it worse for everybody, by changing the concept and adapting it for different industries. It's just like rather than making things better, as you mentioned, they are making things worse.
Yeah. And I can tell you, Cyril, that most of the time it happens because they are not experienced enough with the basic agile methodologies. Because
Absolutely.
if you just stick to the book, you can understand that probably there are a couple of things that don't really work as on the book. You tweak them, then eventually get inspired by some other agile methodologies. I really like this practice, and you bring it into the equation, and that's it. Then you don't have to reinvent the wheel, from scratch. The evolution and your contribution to the agile world should come after years of experience working in the industry. Years of experience.
So for the agile aficionados that are watching us, what would you say the strategies in agile software development and project management have contributed the most, if you can name?
IT industry, I see it very in lasting dynamics. I can tell you what am I a big fan of, and then what happened in lasting dynamics in the past years. Okay, there are so we started from the concept that Scrum, sometimes by let's say agile fanatics, is not even identified as an agile methodology, but actually it's the strongest framework out of there for enterprise, for building software. It's the easiest. It's a cage. It defines everything. So you cannot evade the cage. I usually say it's a cage, because for junior teams and not individuals, I'm saying teams, so people that just started to work together or that eventually didn't work that much together, is the perfect formula, because defines everything, from the team composition to the ceremonies that you should follow, the practices that you should follow. And it's a very analytical tool, because it talks about capacity estimations using story points or other kind of ways. It gives you the metrics to evaluate the velocity. So it's very detailed. It goes very much into details, and it's the easiest to apply. Scrum is easy peasy. Okay. So it's one of the best to follow. Then we tweaked it a bit. Now we use a methodology that is called lazy aggressive Scrum. It's based on 3 weeks iteration, and it's meant for those teams that have not a lot of people, like a very big amount of people that can literally forget about what is happening in the current sprint and focus only on the preparation of the next sprint. that is basically grooming and user stories preparation with the product owners, tech leads. So you have more time to define, the scope, analyze it, and you can still use effort from the tech leads and the software engineers deployed working on the current sprint, and that works quite well, because even if you give up on one release every two, it still brings much more quality and consistency into what you are releasing. The other thing that we follow a lot in Lasting Dynamics, and I really like, is OKRs plus Kanban. Kanban is a tool that you need to nest with something. It cannot be used alone, because it becomes a way to make people lazy. What is happening here, you never know, because it's just ongoing. There is no really reflection point. But with an OKRs methodology attached to it, then it works very well, and it is for a more senior teams, so teams that already worked together, that probably don't need to write a range between 1 and 21 to identify the complexity of a user story. They can just tell you it's going to be finished in a week or two. Okay, so that's it. You don't need really to estimate using Fibonacci. And another thing I will mention, only this, then we can talk for hours, and I don't want, is a Shuari that I like a lot, because one of the problems in the IT industry is how much time is a junior developer or junior resource spending on his own trying to solve a problem, and how much time is taking from a senior resource that actually has other things to do. So is it a mentorship or literally babysitting of, latest arrived? And in order to solve this, there is a precept that comes from martial arts, Japanese martial arts, and defines the role of the student, the road, the journey of the student, and the master. So the path to become a master. And if you study it, then you say, okay, this is what I need to solve the problem with the junior and the senior. And we use that, as and then there is much more part. Yeah, that's the long story short.
That was quite explanatory.
So, Michele, how many? We are in August 2023. So, how many employees these days at Lasting Dynamics?
More than 100.
Okay, and how many offices do you have across the globe?
4 offices, one in Italy, one in Norway, another one in Spain, in Canary Islands, Las Palmas, and another one in Dubai, in the Emirates.
Okay, and you did all of that as a bootstrap company. Let's say you haven't looked for external capital to support you in the development of the company across the years. And what was the rationale to develop Lasting Dynamics as a bootstrap company and not seek help, of experienced VCs or external capital to either grow faster or acquire some other companies?
Okay, I think I will mention three things. Okay, one is more rational, another one is political, and another one is totally emotionally rational. Okay, so I would say more emotional than irrational. So the rational part of it is that I didn't want to risk money of someone else. That was annoying me a lot. The idea to be in troubles. There are a lot of entrepreneurs nowadays that start with developing a company following the startup model because they believe that's the only model. No, that's not the only model. And how do they work? They create a pitch, they create a case study, eventually a POC, and then find someone that will finance their journey, and then they bet money of someone else. Pretty much, that's what happens. That was embarrassing me, so I would have not risk to fail with someone else's money. I didn't want that, and I rationally didn't want to find myself into troubles or so I didn't want to follow that path, and I would have never do that. Probably that was the most rational thinking behind it. The emotional part is that my mom, she was a shop owner, okay? And she actually did it by getting some money from an investment that the Italian government was giving to make the economy grow at that time, etc. The financial crisis came at the same time. Unfortunately, she worked with the wrong people in terms of legal consultancy and I would say more accounting. And that caused her a lot of troubles. So in my family, we felt it, and it for us the idea of asking for public money or eventually even private money was something out of the vocabulary. Like that was my emotional experience that gave me kind of a break on the topic. The political reason is that in Europe and in USA, of course, you hear a lot about the startup environments. If you think about Estonia, it's probably the most evolved still in terms of VCs, accelerators. North Europe as well as Sweden. Denmark is totally based on IT in a certain way, and their economy has been booming in the past 10 years in this direction. While instead in Italy, for many years, no one has been talking about startups or actually doing anything for young entrepreneurs. So that was not an option at all, for us. We had to emerge without any help from that direction. I'm sorry to say that, but it is the truth. That's now it's different. There is a lot. The Italian government is doing a lot in this direction. There are a lot of VCs. There are accelerators in Napoli. There is a big one in Città della Scienze that actually in the past probably 6-7 years was the ground for companies like Bit4ID that now is extremely known all around across the globe. And a few others that I would say that in Napoli now the IT is doing very well. Like there are a lot of companies that are really skilled and serious about what they're doing. They're growing. So I'm very happy that this happened. Yeah.
Excellent. And what was the rationale behind the geographical expansion?
Mm-hmm.
Because I guess that that it mobilized capital, energy, a lot of different consultants, accountants, legal, extra. What was the rationale behind it?
I think every country has a different rationale, to be honest. We started from Italy. I would say Spain, I will cut it short by saying that the reason why we came to Las Palmas is to improve the quality of life of all the employees that were, especially in the COVID time, have been working very, very hard, to keep excelling and becoming a reality, even in a very difficult period. Here we had the ground in terms of organizations and assets acquisition to have a very big office space in which we could invest, and additionally some strategic advisory that made us grow quite a lot. When it comes to North Europe, it was because I met a friend, very good person that was the first one believing into lasting dynamics becoming a multinational. Literally, he came to me and he told me, Mike, I love lasting dynamics. He was actually meant to be a customer. And then he told me, you know what, after a couple of months of negotiation, he told me, you know what, I drop my product, I drop my idea and my company. I wanted to rebrand to create a franchising, of lasting dynamics. And this is what happened there. And it was majorly the driver was business development. When instead the UAE still business development, marketing, I would say, and this happened thanks to the efforts of the private office of Al Maktoum family that identified in Lasting Dynamics a quality solution for the IT market and a strategic partner for the expansion of IT activities in Dubai and in the whole GCC zone. So the reason why we did that is because it is an honor to be recognized as a kind of a luxury brand by probably one of the biggest luxury realities, the royal family, you know. So it's it happened like that.
So so staying on topic of geographical expansion, when we talk about this, the company's culture become an important topic. And so what would you say are the core values of Lasting Dynamics, and how do you ensure that they actually stay consistent or they evolve in the right direction as you expand geographically? And I know also that, of course, Lasting Dynamics being part of it, there's a lot of people from different countries as well, a lot of different countries. So how do you make sure that the right people are brought on board?
Okay. Well, I will start answering by saying that just recently I saw an article about Jeff Bezos. One of his questions, and actually something similar happened also with other big famous legends. I would define them legends rather than just entrepreneurs. That at the very last step of interview, he asks to people how many windows are in New York. And this is something that is totally irrational, like as a question. And the reason why he does that is just to understand who gives up. Because of course, since it's a very strange question, quite literally weird, and probably there is no answer to that rational answer, the idea that you could still try to find a solution by reasoning and by showing that you would start investigating it in this way or in that way proves to someone that you are committed, that you have a certain problem solving skill and the mindset when it comes to work. So, and the reason why I guess he does it is because one of the biggest values that you can evaluate in a company is the effort and the commitment that every individual puts into towards the goals of the company, where company is probably a concept of people being together rather than just a building or an entity. And yes, so the values, the basic values of Lasting Dynamics are effort and commitment, and there is nothing else to say about it. In the way that I saw thousands of times people coming without any technical skill, but a lot of will to do, a lot of energy, a lot of passion in learning and growing, and they became champions in Lasting Dynamics, literally. So I will never be scared to hire junior people as far as they can show that kind of fire. I actually think it's always the best investment that you can do, talent, and that's talent and force of will, of course, because the natural talent at a certain point might be a blocker for your way of, keeping yourself hungry and in will of evolving and studying and growing. Because you rely too much on your personal skills. One instead who comes from nothing has to put 3 times, 4 times effort into it, and then it ends up going longer, just because, how can I say, kinetic power of the movement. And so effort and commitment, one of the values that I always promote in Lasting Dynamics, and this is not a joke, you can ask to everyone, is a transparency and being honest with the customers. Because it's easy to say, okay, the IT market is sick and whatever, but then you should remember always that we are trying to build something different. And if you end up being like everyone else, then the whole dream disappears. So the idea of opening the data to the customer, say sorry when we make a mistake, and then from turning the page and learning from the experience and moving towards is another big value of Lasting Dynamics. And literally the whole company was built on the idea that I didn't want to do 100 projects and do a lot of profit. I wanted to do 5 projects and organically build profits and strong teams that could seed the expansion of Lasting Dynamics later. So we ended only a few years ago, the phase 1. The phase 2 of scaling is happening now, thanks to the fact that we don't lose any project, that we don't fail any project. And that happens because we trained a lot. And we learned how to train others. So it became scalable in this direction. So these are probably very important values. And I would say that I also like to think about ourselves as always as engineers and tech nerds. So we will never be commercials. So we don't really have an intelligence that thinks about upselling, cross-selling. It's more about developing something that brings value. And then we know, commercially speaking, that will bring a lot of value back to us. And this is pretty much who we are, what we do.
So I guess this is the perfect time to bring it, the topic of the academy, because you mentioned that we had to learn a lot, and we had to learn how to teach others.
Yeah.
And one of the products that we are most excited and proud of here at Lasting Dynamics is the academy. Yeah. So can you share a bit more with the audience about it? And how did you have this idea, this intuition? Because it meant a lot for the development of Lasting Dynamics and growth.
I think it came from an empirical experience. So as always, so we couldn't get new projects or bigger projects without having more people, more prepared people, educated people to our methodology, our mindset, and in the technology that we serve. So that's the academy was the next step. How do I do that? Well, I just started to train everyone I could that could give me also kind of feeling of what I just explained, that fire, that commitment, that will. And I started initially in the university with a few guys that were, following classes with me. And then later it became a whole product that now trains more than 200 people per year in UI UX, front end, back end, project management, and quality assurance. 5 different classes. We end up having more than 1,000 applications per month at the moment. And then we keep training 300 for the whole year people that really show that they want to join Lasting Dynamics. Now probably your next question will be, this is for junior people. No, it's not for junior people only. This is a totally free of charge for the student onboarding process in Lasting Dynamics. So more than a program, it is really a process. So how we onboard the people in Lasting Dynamics. So if they are junior, they will stay longer in the academy. If they are senior, they will stay way much less. And but this is the narrow path to join Lasting Dynamics. You either accept it or you don't join. That's it. And that we don't mind if we lose some super senior unicorn that full stack everything that pretends to not to go through this. It happens, and if it happens, then we are not.
Right match.
Yeah, it's not the right match. I mean, I want people to really want to join us, and this is also why Academy happens, and it works like that. Hopefully, I answered your question.
Oh yes, definitely.
So, a software development house, you compete with the entire world.
Yeah.
Okay. From the US to the poorest country, there are software house development companies everywhere. And you often use the expression software boutique. And I'm interested to hear how do you define this concept of software boutique, and what do you do to keep you apart from the rest of the pack? Because the pack is huge.
It will surprise you to discover that actually we compete only with the 10 companies, probably.
Okay.
And the reason why this happens is because our business model is completely different. So in the space in which we position ourselves, there are probably 10 other companies that are running with us. And the rest of the IT world that you see out of there is not really doing what we are doing. And we are trying to attack this vertical since 10 years now, hopefully successfully. The business model is not meant for body shop. This is one of the things that I hate the most, in the IT market, one of the cancer, I would say, of the IT market, because the consultancy started to mask this idea that bigger companies could be big HR, companies like hiring whoever by also assessing their skills and then selling services, like literally 8 hours of work of full-time effort from these people on a certain project. It's not even a certain project, to a certain customer. That is pretty much, someone calls it consultancy, someone else time and material, someone else body rental or the body shop. But that's something we don't do. We don't believe in that. And the reason is that even if I give you 10 guys, you will not solve your problem, because your problem is not acquiring the people that will solve magically with the magic wand your problem. In the IT space, the problem is you want to build a product, you are building something, you are maintaining something, you are expanding a digital product most of the time. And in order to do that, you need an agile team that comes together with experience, with education, and software engineering, precepts to analyze your problem and give you a possible solution, and is also able to work together, execute it, and deliver it. This whole thing I described is extremely hard. It doesn't happen that often. Okay, there are still a lot of entrepreneurs that fail because they invest into the wrong team. And eventually it's not even the wrong team, poor guys. It's just because they are not organized in a certain way, and then the effort doesn't go in a certain direction. So Lasting Dynamics Cyril focuses on few customers, new customers every year, and we invest into mutual growth. So our team becomes the tech arm of this reality, and together we make the product succeed. Nowadays, not only from the tech perspective, we also have commercials that are quite strong, growth experts and the business developers that give a lot of indications on in which directions to invest, with a certain accuracy and data analysis. And by the way, the goal is that if we believe in the other reality, and the other reality believes in us, we can grow together. So the average contract in Lasting Dynamics lasts 3 years. We have customers since 7 now. And the business model is completely different from what anyone else is doing out of there. Then, do they make more revenues than us? Yes. Do they have more people than us? Yes. Do they work with more companies than us? Yes. But I don't mind, and that's not our goal. It's not our path. We just want to satisfy every customer that comes, build value with them, for them, and be recognized as those that can build any kind of project in a certain quality standard. Okay, and then is Lasting Dynamics growing, skyrocketing? I'm sorry to say it, but every year we have been doubling up, or having a triple, quadruple up, or even more, on the revenues, yearly revenues, the turnover. This means that it's going well. Okay, the business model works. So yeah, that's
Excellent.
how we compete.
Now, it's I really appreciate how you explain that basically you don't compete with everybody on the market, but only on the niche that you have chosen on where you have credibility.
Yes.
You earlier, in your journey, you mentioned ASP, and that resonated with me because that was my first professional language when I started a long time ago with C++ also and JavaScript on the side. And so in terms of technology, we have a lot of cycles and, it changed a lot. You mentioned also full stack. Everybody who was full stack developer 20 years ago, almost no one is now. What emerging technologies are you the most excited by?
Interesting. Very interesting question. Okay, I like a lot Rust as a development technology. Okay, let's start from this one. Then I will be a little more wide. The Rust is probably gonna grow a lot. Rust, Golang already grew a lot, but Rust is interesting because it solves a lot of problems into the space of optimizations and performance when it comes to rendering. Mobile web cross-platform, it's a very interesting technology. I really look forward to hearing more about how Rust will evolve and grow. It already grew a lot. Another thing that I'm always excited of is the cross-platform. 5-6 years ago, I was saying we will code everything with JavaScript, and everyone was laughing, saying, it's just a scripting. 10 years ago at the university, I was fighting with all the professors, because of this, because they were, like, okay, of course, it's a different application domain, but and in every application domain, you have different languages and technologies. But intuitively, I was thinking that if JavaScript could start as a back-end language, go on the front end, and become again a language for the back-end, and then in the years, I was right, because it became also the way to develop neural nets and AI, and then it became a mobile technology. No one could believe it, and then now you code mobile applications with JavaScript. So I love cross-platform technologies. I love it because I think that they solve a very big problem. And the reusability of what you can build in a domain and porting it into another and still being able to use it solves a big problem in terms of software development and maintenance, especially the maintenance. Imagine to maintain a mobile application with the Swift and Kotlin or just with the React Native. Of course, if you can code in only one language and you can maintain it, then you can ship solutions faster. And one in which I don't believe is the no coding, no coding topic that is all around the world now. That is a kind of thing that I heard so many times when they built CMS back in time, and everyone was thinking, we will not need the code anymore. No, surprise, surprise, you still need it after so many years. So I don't believe that much into it. Instead, in terms of technology that I really think will trigger the industrial revolution, and I said it already other times, is the quantum computing. I think that is gonna make explode a lot of verticals and the industries. I think about neuroscience. I think about healthcare. I think about cybersecurity is gonna be huge because we need to adapt banking, insurance. Of course, AI is gonna really become a thing with the quantum computing. AI, when I say AI, pretty much talking about neural networks, and so yeah, these are the things that I am very enthusiastic of, to be honest. Yeah,
and
exciting. And
you
mentioned AI.
Sorry. I just want to say that for everybody that wants to deep dive into what Michele just mentions, go back to the first episodes of the Digital Transformation Podcast, because we go into a deep dive of, there are a couple of episodes about AI that are really, really worth watching. We have a wonderful guest, so just wanted
We
to...
already touched a lot to this topic, and also in the first season. So I also suggested, if you didn't yet, go and watch it. Cyril.
Good. Yeah, no, just wanted to say something similar, but also interestingly, I have the opposite view on no code, and why? It's because this no code, unlike the no code from 10, 20 years ago, is more addressed to people with a kind of technical background, where before the focus was always on no technical background needed, which was BS. The no code generation today is of course, if you don't have any technical background, you can still learn it. But basically, it's much easier if you have some tech background, because you always have to connect with external databases, external APIs. You still need to understand UX, UI when you design something.
Let me clarify. It is not definitely it's gonna have an usage and a market, and it already has. But what I see now is unreasonable. Like very large enterprises making customers spend millions of dollars of budget for a prototype that is made with no-code tools that are actually really not needed, because with the Figma you could do the same and demo it, or eventually you could create a POC, a prototype, a very small MVP, not even going MVP, really just thinking in prototype version, and could cost less and could have a better impact and could have a better result. So it's much more criticism against these big enterprises that really keep doing the same way of absorbing a budget from customers without providing a certain value.
Yeah, well, if you want to fix bad program management, bad decision making in large organizations with unlimited budget, that's a different topic.
Yes, of course. Yeah, you're right.
So this one comes from my personal interest.
Okay.
5-10 years from now, where do you see lasting dynamics be? How do you see lasting dynamics evolve? Particularly, not necessarily, but also in light of what we just discussed, the technologies that you think they will grow the most.
So lasting dynamics technology-wise is entering much more aggressively the mixed reality world. I'm saying mixed reality specifically because it's the one in which I believe the most, and between the VR and AR, of course. And when it comes AI, of course, most of the projects we are working on are now going in that direction. It is a trendy, of course, but this is a kind of trigger that never. It was the trigger. There is no way back. There is only way to keep going in this direction from this moment on. And one instead, and the quantum computing. There is an intelligence in lasting dynamics that has a strong will to go in this direction. And from a group perspective, I would say that lasting dynamics already has the academy and the real estate into the group. Academy somehow is still related to our activities, even the real estate, because actually it's an hybrid between innovation and technology and the classic real estate world. But the group will grow, because I believe in having a group that is stronger, bigger, with a much more diversified market and operations. And I do not exclude going into other directions that I would like to not disclose, just because I don't like to say something and eventually it doesn't happen. It's still on in that shape, in that phase. And as a size of the company, the funny thing is that everyone I'm talking with, they say when you will be 10,000, no, we will never be 10,000. The reason is that I'm not trying to build this bigger consultancy firm. The board wants to keep going on the idea of having a company of a certain amount of people, strong profiles that dedicate to a maximum of 20, 30 customers. We will have a waiting list at a certain point. And I'm not joking. Actually, at the moment, we are already very selective on which customers we work with, and the whole thing will be being the tech arm, positioned where tech arm of bigger realities that embrace lasting dynamics methodology and process, and we will not have that many people, so the size is never gonna explode in that direction. Another thing that is happening very importantly now is that what we learned on our journey is that it's very important to have a legal tech department in lasting dynamics. We will open soon. We have already something rudimental in lasting dynamics, very honestly, but is evolving and will become stronger and stronger, and this will help us also being more trustable for large enterprises. And additionally, I would say that what is happening now is a massive investment into tenders and public administration projects that will probably drive us to another level of competition in the upcoming years. We already do it, but not that much, I would say. So this is exploding, and in the upcoming few years, not even 5, I would say, we will be very well positioned in that direction. Then probably I will keep playing the game of partnerships, because I love it. I really believe that when you find some other partners that share your own idea and DNA, it's very important to partner up, and fight together. And that goes both in the directions of clients and suppliers of lasting dynamics. And yeah, that's pretty much what I see for the upcoming years.
Thanks, Michele.
Great.
Exciting. That basically the growth of any IT companies is on different stage. So 100, 500, 1500. So we'll see how it stops in 5-10 years, but usually it never stops.
Yeah, true.
Visiting your corporate website, you mentioned that you are a carbon neutral company, and it's a promise that we'll see everywhere these days, in terms of sustainability, preserving water, reducing waste, plastic. How does this commitment impact your day-to-day organizations and your investment decisions?
Okay, we are plastic free since 2017. There was a strong will in the office to not use plastic anymore, and it was just not a will of doing something valuable for the environment, but a kind of necessity, I would say. It was so ugly to see every day, crushed plastics into the bin, and imagining that this would have impact the environment. So we genuinely,
we are talking about single-use plastic here.
Yeah, single-use plastic here. Yes, and you have also to think about the fact that we have water, in the office for everyone, and we decided to go into glass rather than plastic for daily usage, or we are differentiating the waste and avoiding, to throw all together as it happened in 90s. That is so ugly. And additionally, Lasting Dynamics contributes every year on the development of projects for carbon compensation. We do it regularly and compensate thousands of kilograms of carbon emission. We are carbon neutral certified at the moment, and we will keep doing it. I'm also looking forward either to building on our own or by finding a good partner that could provide us with this service for a blockchain carbon compensation or with NFT, something a little more transparent, so that will be totally certified that our effort is going into the right directions, and we can see the output, the outcome of our investments. Of course, now we rely on very strong companies that are very transparent, even if centralized, very transparent and honest. So. But yes, so I think it's a big commitment on a global scale. I hear nowadays, especially in Italy, I'm a big fan of a podcast in Italy called La Zanzara that I hear on weekend when I have a bit of time, because it's really funny. And the paradox of this show is the idea that as journalists, they talk with the people that have a very extremist opinions on everything, on any kind of topic. And it's a bit of joking with them, taking jokes on them, but also revealing how, sometimes an absence of education and information could derive into such ridiculous topics. And in Italy now there is a lot of fun probably in terms of mass media around who is for climate changes and taking in actions and who is against it. Scientifically, probably we will have some proof in the future, but I think it is a duty for every human being to keep clean the environment, and regardless the impact that this could have, regardless a scientific proof of what is happening. I think it's mandatory for every human being to be self-responsible and think about the common space as something that was rented to us and not it's not a gift, and we need to keep it, we need to maintain it, we need to put some effort into it. So I'm myself also a pescatarian. I don't eat meat. It's a personal choice. I do not make any difference between having friends that eat meat or not. That would be really dumb and stupid in my opinion. I love the idea that everyone could do whatever, and we should respect it and be respected for our choices, as far as that doesn't damage, the community, the collectivity. So I'm it's just a personal choice. I would say bound to my personal beliefs. That's it.
So I think we are getting close to the end of
Okay.
this interview. I hope we didn't.
I made it.
Oh, come on. I don't think we put you on the spot yet. We have.
No.
No, one last question from me would be, I'm curious to see if you think in the past, we'd focus at when everything started, but even in the process of building Lasting Dynamics, can you think of any not mistakes, but or maybe even mistakes, but things that you now know you would have done different? What kind of advice would you give to your younger self when everything started? What would you tell him to pay attention to or to do different?
Okay. Well, I would say that for me, it's always a chess game. Everything I'm doing, I think about the consequences of everything before acting, and I usually take an action only if I can at least predict the next 3-5 things happening. And if I'm not sure, I rarely take instinctive action on something, unless the instinct is very strong and driving me. Sometimes, it has been doing it. Some other times I was not. It was way much more rational. And and according to this, sometimes you play some games and you arrive to the end of this game having some regret. And because you made eventually a wrong decision. It's a part of being a human and not being able to travel back in time. So the suggestion that probably I would give to myself back in time, I would say to just do not be too much frustrated about some mistakes that happened, because that was a part of the journey, and usually it opened bigger doors or gates. And another thing that that I did, so I'm the owner of all the companies, sole owner of all the companies, and in the group, sometimes you might need not external but a third party to give suggestions and do something. And I probably created a board a bit too late, in the way that some of the early stage decisions were totally driven by me. But from the moment in which we had a board, regardless, I'm the only owner, that became a way much more consultative and let's say democratic. And I so probably I would accelerate that process if I could go back. But generally speaking, I would redo everything exactly the same, because it brought me here. It brought us, all of us, here, and I think that we are living a dream, a very interesting journey. So even the chance to to change something and eventually affect the current reality would not be probably that's some suggestions I will give to myself. One instead, I would say to all the young entrepreneurs, let's put it this way. To think about the idea to develop, to spend the time and develop themselves a lot, and their ideas and business, making experience, trying, failing, starting over new, eventually not necessarily with investments, but also trying to investing a bit of profit, so that the value of what you are investing has much more weight. Okay, it's the weight is higher, and you can you know what you are investing this way, and that probably will trigger a bit of problem solving more into the mind of these young generations. And I would also tell them to not be afraid to try, because sometimes people don't try just because they feel a blocker. They are afraid of failing. They are afraid of having troubles. Life is one, and the time that you have at your disposal, unfortunately, is not infinite. And also the time that you have at your disposal to spend all of your energy goes between 20 to probably 35. I'm 33. I'm already feeling a bit not the stress, but I'm a bit tired, more tired than what I was before, and so I needed to pause longer than what I used to do before. So probably invest that years, yes, to have a fun experience, friends, whatever, but also to put their minds into something constructive for their future, because then they're gonna benefit it a lot 10 years later. So do it now. Don't wait tomorrow. That's another thing that I would like to say.
So to sum up, your advices for other entrepreneurs would be: don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to share responsibilities within your company, and invest in the future and in the growth of your company?
Yes, don't wait tomorrow. Do it now when it comes to the growth. Yes.
Well,
I'm interested to know who have been your role models, in your development, in your journey. So it's not necessarily people, that you relate the most, but the ones that maybe are inspired by what they've done or what they've said. So can you name one entrepreneur or business person and one company that in a way or another have inspired you in your journey?
Okay. I think one of the first that I've been inspired that inspired me a lot is Bill Gates. A lot of people have a different opinions, on this genius. For me, what he did in his whole career and the journey was exceptional. And Microsoft is such of a huge company with a lot of respect nowadays. So he built a titan, literally one of the biggest, if not the biggest. And personally, Bill Gates is a kind of he's someone that has been always tech enthusiast, and he could bring his passion into what he was doing, and could also analyze all the situations very rationally. And the part that I love the most of this person is the his later times, not really the early stage, because at a certain point he decided to take most of the money, the profit that he made, and started to do something for the others consistently. So put all of this money into a fund, and decided to help people, trying and challenging himself with bigger scale problems, and he succeeded in many directions. So I would say that one of the models was definitely Bill Gates, and I like a lot what is happening. I would say from the biggest, I like probably all of them, because and anyone from I would say from the development of simple products to larger scale enterprises. So from I don't know what happened with Apple to Tesla and SpaceX is exceptional. But definitely, I think that let's summarize it this way. I probably admired at least 2-3 things from each of them, and I tried to make it mine. To try to learn something that I could use for my journey, for our journey, for Lasting Dynamics journey. There is a bit of these precepts everywhere in Lasting Dynamics. Probably you see it's in the Infinite logo. So yeah, that's it.
Excellent. And
just wanna say one more thing. I think I've been admiring a lot of Italian brands as well. That's something that comes in the quality part of Lasting Dynamics. I've been looking a lot at the luxury brands. This is a study that I did when I was younger, and I saw that up to a certain moment, 11 on top 20 luxury brands were Italian. And that was, definitely matter of proud for an Italian guy. And I started to research more individually about Lamborghini, Ferrari, Gucci.
Fendi, Gucci.
Dolce Gabbana, up to the point that I started to learn more even about the Parmigiano Reggiano, for example, how it is built, the time that is spent behind it, things that do not happen that fast, but on the long run bring a better result, that are really boutique in a certain way, no? So there is only a certain portion of land in Italy that allows cheese to become a Parmigiano, and there is a consortium that comes and evaluates the shape, the smell, the taste, the sound with a small hammer, and then decides if it is a real Parmigiano or not. And you have to wait at least 12 months to make that happen, otherwise it's 24 or 36. And then this build, the Parmigiano Reggiano is something that is known all across the globe, probably from Japan to USA and South America. Everyone knows Parmigiano and consumes Parmigiano, and that's probably because the quality could speak for itself, And so yeah, I'm also a big admirer of Italian brands. Let's say like that.
Excellent. And one last question: if you had a magic wand, what would you change today?
Okay.
Put you on the spot.
Like a desire, let's say, something that could happen.
Yeah, something that you can change, a problem you can delete, something you can create. What would be your magic wand? What would be your wish?
Okay, I'm giving a very honest answer that probably, I don't know if it answers your question, but I think that by having such a power, you will also have a certain responsibility. So I would not spend it for myself or for lasting dynamics. I will probably spend it to do something better for the humanity, to be honest. I'm a bit of a socialist entrepreneur. Everyone says that. And the idea that you have something in your hand and it is such powerful, such important, generates in me the feeling that it needs to be shared with other human beings. So I would do something for the world. And probably what I would do is I would study top 10 biggest problems of the humanity at the moment, and those that could become worse and worse and probably generate apocalyptic scenarios in the future, and try to find the formula to use the magic wand to solve as many of them at the same time with only one wish. Okay, something like that.
Okay, my question was more like on the scope of the company, but okay, I got it. The socialist entrepreneur has responded.
It was a good answer to work your way out of the question.
No, really, that was not the intent. I think anything I want and wish lasting dynamics and that we could do in the future is doable without a magic wand. Let's put it this way. Okay, so I prefer to do it on our own.
Okay, there's no more questions from my side. Cyril, I don't know if you have more questions. Otherwise, we have reached the end of this very insightful interview.
Yeah.
And I wanted to thank you, everyone. Thanks again for joining us. And we will see you in the next episode.
Thank you guys for preparing this interview. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Cyril. Thank you, everyone, for spending again time with us, listening for the Digital Transformation Podcast. Have a nice day. Goodbye.